You ever just catch yourself frantically jabbing the crosswalk button at a traffic light? Like somehow pressing it 15 times is going to make the light change faster? Or maybe you're one of those people who spam clicks the elevator's close door button because waiting an extra 3 seconds feels unbearable. Here's the wild part. Most of those buttons don't actually do anything. They're what engineers call placebo buttons, completely fake controls designed to make you feel better. And here's where it gets interesting. They work. Even when they're doing absolutely nothing, just pressing them makes us feel calmer, more in control. But here's the thing that'll blow your mind. This isn't just about buttons. Your entire relationship with control? A lot of it is just as fake as that crosswalk button. And once you understand how deep this illusion goes, you'll never see your anxiety, your planning obsessions, or your need to micromanage everything the same way again. Let's talk about something you don't often hear. You have way less control than you think you do. And paradoxically, that's the most liberating thing you'll hear all day. Back in the 1970s, a Harvard psychologist named Ellen Langer ran this brilliant experiment. She had people play the lottery, but here's the twist. Half the participants got to choose their own numbers, while the other half were just handed random tickets. Now logically, we all know every lottery ticket has exactly the same odds of winning. But when it came time to sell their tickets back, guess what happened? The people who chose their own numbers wanted way more money for their tickets. They became emotionally attached to numbers they picked, as if their choice somehow improved their odds in a game of pure chance. Think about that for a second. These were rational adults who intellectually knew better, but their brains literally couldn't help but feel more control when they had a tiny bit of choice, even meaningless choice. You see, our minds are basically control-seeking machines. We're constantly scanning our environment, looking for patterns, trying to figure out cause and effect. It's how we survived as a species. But here's where it gets messy. Our brains are so eager to find control that they'll create it even when it doesn't exist. Have you ever noticed how dice players in a casino throw the dice harder when they need a high number and softer when they need a low one? Or how about this one? Studies show that drivers rate their chances of having an accident as much lower when they're driving versus when they're a passenger. Same road, same conditions, but when we feel at the wheel, suddenly we think we're invincible. Here's what's actually happening. Your brain uses what psychologists call a control heuristic. Basically, whenever you intend something and then see it happen, your brain goes, I did that. Even when the connection is purely coincidental. You press the elevator button, the door closes, boom, you caused it. Never mind that the door was on a timer. Let's be honest about why this matters so much to us. Control isn't just a nice to have. It's how we cope with the terrifying reality that life is unpredictable and we're fundamentally vulnerable. Think about the last time you felt really anxious. I bet it wasn't about something that was definitely going to happen. It was about uncertainty, that job interview result you're waiting for, whether that person you like will text you back, if your health symptoms mean something serious. Uncertainty feels dangerous to our brains, so we try to eliminate it by controlling everything we possibly can. Here's where it gets interesting, and a little heartbreaking. The more stressed and anxious we are, the more we grasp for control. It's like being in quicksand and thrashing around, thinking the thrashing will save you when actually it just makes you sink faster. Studies show that people with depression actually have more accurate assessments of their control, or lack thereof. There's even a term for this, depressive realism. While mentally healthy people maintain positive illusions about their influence over events, depressed individuals see the harsh truth more clearly. It's like depression strips away the comforting lies our brains usually tell us. But here's the thing, those comforting lies serve a purpose. A little bit of illusory control can be motivating. If you slightly overestimate your ability to influence your grades, you might study harder and actually perform better. The illusion becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. The problem comes when we cling too tightly to control. When we convince ourselves that if we just plan hard enough, worry thoroughly enough, or micromanage carefully enough, we can force life to comply with our wishes. That's when control stops being helpful and starts being a prison. You're not broken for wanting control. You're not weak for needing to feel like you have influence over your life. You're just human. But here's what no one tells you. The very thing you think is keeping you safe might actually be the source of your suffering. Now, this isn't just some modern psychological discovery. People have been figuring this out for thousands of years. The Stoic philosophers, Buddhist teachers, and even existential thinkers all came to the same conclusion. Letting go of the illusion of control is the path to freedom. Picture this. It's 2,000 years ago in ancient Greece. A philosopher named Epictetus, who spent years as a slave before becoming a teacher, opens his most famous work with these words. Some things are in our control and others not. He goes on to say that the only things truly in our control are our thoughts, our choices, and our responses. Everything else, other people, outcomes, even our own health, lies beyond our direct control. The Stoics had this radical idea. Real strength isn't about controlling the world around you. It's about mastering your response to whatever the world throws at you. Marcus Aurelius, literally the most powerful man in the Roman Empire, wrote in his private journal, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Think about that. The guy who could command armies and change laws understood that his real power lay not in his ability to control others, but in his ability to control himself. But here's where it gets even more beautiful. Buddhist philosophy takes this further. They say that attachment, including attachment to controlling outcomes, is the root of all suffering. There's this beautiful quote by Thich Nhat Hanh, "Letting go gives us freedom, and freedom is the only condition for happiness." It's not that you become passive or stop caring about outcomes. It's that you stop strangling yourself with the need for everything to go exactly as you planned. You do your best, then you release your death grip on the results. And then there's Viktor Frankl, a Holocaust survivor who discovered something profound in the concentration camps. Even when everything external was stripped away, freedom, dignity, basic human rights, there was still one thing that could never be taken: the ability to choose your attitude. "Everything can be taken from a man but one thing," he wrote, "the last of the human freedoms, to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances." These aren't just pretty philosophical ideas. They're pointing to something practical and life-changing. When you stop trying to control everything, you discover a different kind of power. The power to respond consciously, rather than react frantically. Now let's bring this into your actual life, because in our modern world, the illusion of control has gone completely off the rails. We live in a time when we have more tools for control than any generation in history. Apps that track everything, data about everything, buttons and screens for everything. And yet, anxiety rates are through the roof. Why? Because technology has created the ultimate illusion of control. Your phone makes you feel like you should be able to manage everything instantly. Slow Wi-Fi becomes a personal affront. A delayed text reply triggers anxiety. We've become addicted to the feeling of immediate control, so when reality doesn't comply, when the download takes forever or the GPS loses signal, we feel helpless. But here's the really sneaky part. A lot of the control technology gives us is fake. Remember those placebo buttons? Turns out about 90% of office thermostats aren't actually connected to anything. They're just there to make employees feel better. They even add sound effects when you turn them to simulate the HVAC system responding. And don't even get me started on our planning obsession. We live in a culture that worships productivity, optimization, and 5-year plans. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? Has become the question that haunts every job interview and life transition. So we make elaborate spreadsheets and detailed roadmaps, thinking that if we just plan perfectly enough, nothing can go wrong. Here's what therapists are seeing. Overplanning has become a coping mechanism for anxiety. When the future feels scary, we try to script every detail of it. But instead of reducing anxiety, this often creates more. Why? Because life has a way of not following our plans, and every deviation feels like a personal failure. As one life coach put it perfectly, you are afraid of surrender because you don't want to lose control. But you never had control. All you had was anxiety. Let that sink in for a moment. All that mental energy you've been spending trying to control outcomes wasn't actually giving you control. It was just giving you something to do with your worry. The pandemic taught us this lesson collectively. All those carefully laid plans for 2020, gone overnight. And yet somehow, most of us found ways to adapt, to pivot, to discover resilience we didn't know we had. The thing we feared, losing control, turned out to be survivable. More than survivable, it was transformative. Here's where this gets really interesting and counterintuitive. When you let go of trying to control everything, you actually become more effective, not less. It's like the old Chinese finger trap. The harder you pull to get free, the more stuck you become. But relax your grip and you slide right out. Think about your best decisions, the ones that really worked out. Did they come from hours of overthinking and trying to control every variable? Or did they come from a place of clarity where you gathered the information you could, made the best choice available, and then moved forward with confidence? Here's what changes when you release the illusion of control. Instead of wasting energy trying to manage every outcome, you invest that energy in building your capacity to respond skillfully to whatever happens. Instead of trying to predict and prevent every possible problem, you develop trust in your ability to handle problems when they arise. It's like the difference between a rigid tree that breaks in a storm and a flexible tree that bends and survives. The flexible tree isn't weaker, it's actually stronger because it can adapt. But let's be practical about this. I'm not saying become completely passive or stop making plans altogether. The wisdom is in knowing the difference between healthy preparation and anxious over-control. Plan, yes. Set goals, Absolutely. Take action, definitely. But hold those plans lightly. Be willing to adapt when circumstances change. Focus on controlling your effort, not the outcome. Here's a simple test. When you think about your goals or plans, do you feel energized and motivated, or do you feel tight, anxious, and pressured? The first feeling comes from healthy engagement. The second comes from attachment, from trying to control what can't be controlled. There's this beautiful saying, do your best, then let go of the rest. It's not about lowering your standards or giving up on what you want. It's about recognizing that once you've done everything genuinely in your power, holding on tighter doesn't help, it just makes you suffer. So where does this leave us? Right here, right now, with a choice. You can keep exhausting yourself trying to control the uncontrollable, pressing those placebo buttons harder and harder, hoping this time they'll actually work. Or you can try something radical. You can let go. Not let go of caring, not let go of trying. Let go of the need for everything to go exactly according to your plan. Let go of the belief that you're supposed to be able to manage every outcome. Let go of the illusion that control equals safety. Because here's what you discover when you finally release that grip. Peace isn't found in controlling everything. It's found in trusting yourself to handle whatever everything brings. Strength isn't in forcing outcomes. It's in responding to outcomes with wisdom and grace. The crosswalk button might be fake, but your ability to cross the street safely isn't. You don't need the illusion of control to navigate life successfully. You just need to show up fully to each moment, make the best choices you can with the information you have, and trust the process. If this resonated with you, if you felt that, oh god, this is me moment of recognition, comment letting go below. Not because I need to know, but because saying it out loud is the first step in making it real. Control is just a comfortable lie, but the truth will set you free.